Welcome to Raw Sportscast. My name is Scott Harrigan. Today we have Anothony Pluta from Speed Mechanics. Anthony, how you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing well, Scott.
Good stuff. Ready to talk a little baseball?
Let's do it.
Perfect. So, first thing I want, I'm always intrigued by baseball. I played it, certainly not at any high level. It's more for the beers and weekends and stuff like that. But it seems like a long road to get to the pros. It's one of those sports. I thought the NHL was one of the tough thing to get to the show. All sports are tough to get to a level, but it just seems that there's so many levels in baseball and so many people play it. Can you take us or walk me through what it would be like from a kid that when he starts showing signs of he can go places to actually getting there?
Getting there meaning like getting all the way to the major leagues.
Yeah, I mean, or drafted. I mean, drafted that, like where you're not thinking scholarship or like, there becomes a time, I would think, where a kid has to decide, do I try to make the pros or should I get an education? Can you do both? What does that look like? Like what does that, how does a person decide what's best for him at a level?
Well, the advice that was given to me, first off, was sign a college scholarship first. It'll get you more money. Before, I think 2001 was the first year they mandated in the draft that they had to give kids the equivalent of the scholarship money they would have gotten at the school they were going to be able to pay for their education. Okay. When I was drafted in 2000, that wasn't the case. They would take that money and add it on as a signing bonus. So I said, no, I'm not going to go to school, take the money that was equivalent to my scholarship, put it on top of my signing bonus. They said no, but eventually we came to an agreement. And
was that Houston?
It was Houston, yeah.
Okay.
So, signing at school definitely helps your stock, especially if you are lucky enough and good enough to sign at a big Division I program somewhere. But if we were to start, I think when I was kind of seen and recognized as someone who potentially could get drafted or even go to college, I was probably in grade 9 or 10. I think it was grade 9. And
so first year of high school type thing.
First year of high school.
Yeah.
And in Las Vegas, it was a little different than here. Not being from here, baseball is huge here in Victoria, obviously, and it still has a long way to go until it is kind of on the same level as some of the bigger states in the U.S. But growing up in Las Vegas, we had scout days regularly where local scouts would put on a scout day. It didn't cost any money. Just show up and try out for a Major League Baseball team.
Oh, wow.
And
who would put that on? Like the school itself would put that on? Or
the scout. So it would be the Major League club or the scout that was in the area.
Oh, okay.
Just to look at all the local talent and see who was coming out. A scout's job is to look and assess all the local talent and then put in a report, and the players that they think are good, they send a report to their boss, and then their boss comes, cross-checks. So a boss in scouting is called a cross-checker, and they'll show up, and if they like the kid, they'll put it into their big boss, and now there's a chance you're going to be on the draft board.
So that kind of blows me away. That isn't the scouts going to these games though, or in the high school games? Like, they already kind of know who you are before scout day?
Well, it's tough. You're one person. You can only see so many games. So if you're having a huge scout day and you invite everybody and you get 60, 70 kids to show up, then you're getting 60, 70 reports done in one day. And they can start to identify kids that they want to see on a regular basis or more frequent basis. So
how is that different than what we do here in Canada? Do as a coach here, do they send off draft reports or videos or to scouts or to clubs to say, hey, look, I've got this guy Joe Blow is a pitcher. He's throwing 96. Here's a video of him.
Yes, there's Canadian scouts. There's scouts that are based in Canada, and Western Canada would be an area for scouts. I'm not as in tune with the Canadian scout system as I was in the U.S., but I'm assuming it's very similar in that you have area scouts and you have bird dogs or associate scouts. So an associate scout or a bird dog is an unpaid scout, someone with a business card that, hey, I found a kid, I think they're pretty good.
Okay.
You should come check them out. And then their boss, an area scout, someone who oversees an area, will come out and take a look.
So what about this old adage, if you're good enough, they will find you? Is that no more? Is that not a thing anymore?
If you're good enough, they'll find you. Works for the best of the best. If you are one of the top players in the world, or you have a skill that nobody else has, like if you're a player that throws 100 miles an hour, they're going to find you. If you're throwing 92, they may not find you. Just because you're really good for your area doesn't mean you're good for the rest of the world. So
these players coming from in major leagues, they're coming from countries that are relatively poor, and that their lives are, I don't know, I wouldn't say living in a hut, but at the same time they don't have what we have, coaches, academy, this and that, and I think the major leagues just churns them out year after year, do they not?
Oh, heck yeah.
So how are they getting found? Like, there's not a scout day in Guatemala. I don't know. Like, no. Is there?
I mean, who knows? I know in, say, Venezuela and Dominican, they have academies, and they identify kids at like 13 years old.
Yeah, and they learned that the hard way by not going there years before they probably should have, because all the who's that pitcher in L.A. like. What was his name? The eye roller guy. What was his?
Fernando Valenzuela.
Where did he come from? He wasn't drinking at Buc-ee's. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, so do you, in what your capacity of what you do you help promote kids? Are you just teaching them skills? Like, what's the difference between teaching them all these skills and then do you just say good luck, see you later, or how does this work?
Obviously, it's our job to teach them skills, not just on the baseball field, but off. But in the regard of getting drafted, my whole thing is I want to get every player to college. So I'm going to educate the individual as well as the parents on how to get there. I'm not going to pick up the phone and make the call myself. That happens to too many athletes, not just here, but everywhere, where a coach says, listen to me, I'm the person who's going to get you there. If no one else can get you there but me, it's probably a lie.
Right, yeah.
I did it myself. I've got my own scholarships myself. I was a top prospect. I was one of the top 100 players in the world.
But that's not because you went to scout camp. Like, no. there has to be other things that happen to you along the way. Good coaching, playing a ton, but you had to have been spotted. There must have been a time where they said, "Oh, let's keep our eye on this guy."
And it was because of that scout day.
Okay. Oh wow.
My godbrother, so my mom's godfather's son, I guess he's a godbrother. He was an associate scout for who was it back then? Might have been the Rays. Yeah, I think it was the Rays. And it was either Rays or Kansas City, and he said, "Hey, you're not old enough yet, but we're having this scout day. It's at a local high school. You might as well come by and see how you stack up against the best players in the city." And at the time, I wasn't a pitcher. I ended up being drafted as a pitcher. I was an outfielder.
Okay.
Missed a ball in the outfield, and kind of an arrogant grade 9 kid, 13 years old.
No.
It was. And missed the ball. It rolled to the fence and wanted to show off. Coaches said, "Oh, just leave it, take another one." And I knew I had a strong arm. That was just something that I always had.
Yeah.
Didn't always throw it where I wanted to, but
right.
I could throw it really far and throw it hard. So grabbed the ball from the fence and threw it all the way to the catcher.
From the outfield?
From the outfield, up against the fence. And
sure.
Catcher caught it. Scout goes, "Hey, man, do you pitch?" Like, "No, man, I'm not a pitcher. I play outfield." And he's like, "You mind throwing a couple off the mound today?" Sure. So threw a few off the mound. They were all over the place. And
But what were you throwing? Do you remember?
I don't remember. It was probably mid 80s or something like that,
Okay.
low 80s.
Yeah.
Enough to turn some heads as a grade 9. And yeah, the scout ended up talking to my high school coach, said, "Hey, you need to pitch this kid. We think he's got a future as a pitcher."
Wow.
And so grade 10 is really when I started pitching, more of a full-time basis, still playing outfield, but pitching
Okay.
once a week. And then scouts really didn't start showing up until grade 11. So my grade 11 or junior year is what we call it down south. Then scouts were all over the place. And
So at that point, is baseball got a longer age longevity? Like if you're not picked up in hockey, say by a certain age, you're playing beer league. That's just the way it goes. But it seems that different positions in baseball mature differently, and pitchers, do they have a longer shelf life to get drafted, or how does that go? Because if you didn't start pitching until you were, what would that have been, 16?
no, I think 14.
14?
15.
That's pretty late in the game, no?
Pretty late. I mean, I pitched in Little League. I pitched growing up, but
Yeah.
I wasn't a kid that the coach wanted to put in because I couldn't really throw strikes, and
Yeah.
I was too valuable as a position player.
Right. Okay. Now, you've seen the movie Moneyball.
Yeah.
How accurate is that?
It depends on the team. I don't think all teams have bought into the idea of Moneyball.
No, I mean in the aspect of this guy played by that, who's that actor, whatever his name was, the chubby dude, who I can relate to fully, by the way, thank you. Jonas Hill. Yeah. So this guy in the movie, was his job, like, did that actually happen?
I don't know.
Okay. Like, do you, like, when you talk to scouts, like the list of players that guy had was all the no names that nobody wanted, but had so much going for them. But is that a thing?
Yeah, that definitely is a thing. There's people that know nothing about baseball but know a ton about stats and numbers, and they're getting hired by Major League Baseball teams to run numbers and find out who would be the best to play in what situation, or kids that could potentially turn into something. And they're looking at those kids based solely on what their numbers say.
So how many kids come through your system that you see with your own eyes and that you work with and going, this kid has potential more than this other guy that's been playing a long time, but he's just a natural at something. Like, he's just like, we need to either spend more time with this guy, or, and then the other side of it is, how many kids do you see that they think they're better than what they are, and then we get into the whole parent thing, and which I want to discuss to you about getting selected to schools and stuff and what part that plays. But like, do you see underdog kids coming in and going, this kid, he has no clue how good he is?
I would say yes. I've seen that.
Rare?
I wouldn't even say rare. There's so much talent here on the island, just from raw athleticism, where you see a kid that baseball's not their first sport. Maybe they played baseball as a backup, and hockey is their first sport.
Lacrosse or something.
Lacrosse,
yeah.
Whatever it might be. And all of a sudden, you see this kid, and you watch how they move and how they swing a bat. They might have terrible form, but it just sounds different. When they hit the ball and they make contact, it just is like
they're getting all of it.
An explosion.
Wow.
Or a pitcher, or even a person throwing a ball, and you just hear it. Like in, what was the other scouting movie with the old timer?
Yeah, what was that?
Trouble with a Curve.
Yeah.
He could hear the swing, and it's true. You can hear the difference.
Yeah. And what was the other with that movie too, where Buddy was a businessman and he went to India or something to find?
$1 million arm.
$1 million arm. And that was supposed to be a true story as well. But it was the scout when he heard the sound in the glove. That's when he woke up, because other than that, he was sleeping half through the movie, right?
Yeah.
So you can define that by a kid who, well, I guess what it leads to is this, is when you get somebody that raw and you have to teach him the mechanics, are you taking away from his athleticism to teach him certain things? Like, would that diminish his ability, or like, you know what I mean?
Sometimes it does.
Okay.
You know, I think that's why you have to work with the individual athlete. If you have a certain way you teach hitting, or a certain way you teach pitching, or a certain way you teach fielding, and everyone's supposed to look the same, it's not going to work for everybody. It works to make money. If you have a marketing idea of saying, well,
turnstile,
amazing 10-step program to get you to throw 100 miles an hour. Well,
yeah.
Ooh, I'm going to buy it because
Right.
you're selling it, and I think it's going to work for my kid.
Tom Vu.
Yeah.
Kill your grandma to give me the money. I don't think so, Tom.
But no, if you get to know the kid, and you also get to know passion. The amount of times I've seen super talented kids that just don't have the passion, don't want to. They don't want to play college baseball, or they don't want to get drafted. They want to go off and get a job, or they want to go to school, and baseball is not important.
Let's talk about that, because, okay, so I think the Achilles heel in all sports, and I've said this on many a podcast that I've been on, is I know for a fact there are kids out there right now in their chosen sports, not their chosen sports, the sport they're playing, they don't want to play. They're really not into it. And for whatever reason, they don't want to either let their parents down or what have you. But is there, can you define that athlete, that person, and say, this kid's got all the talent in the world, but his heart's just not into it?
Sometimes you can. Sometimes it takes talking to the kid. And, you know, it's with me not managing anymore and just working with kids on a small group or individual basis. I have the ability now more to talk with those kids and interact more.
Okay.
Whereas a manager, you're worrying about your coaching staff and your players, and you're hoping your coaching staff's doing a great job with the individuals that they're assigned to work with. But now in my role where I'm at, where I just work in those small groups or individuals, like I said, I get a chance to ask, hey, how you feeling? You don't look like yourself today. Or, man, you know you've got a ton of talent. Is this something you really want to do? Because if it is, let's have a sit down, because I'll give you a plan on how you can have your school paid for, or how you can get identified to get drafted.
Have you ever had a kid come back and say, that's not really for me, Anthony?
Oh, yeah.
You have for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And did his parents know?
Sometimes. I mean, it hasn't happened just once. It's happened multiple times.
Oh, wow.
And, you know, sometimes parents get it and they know. Sometimes it's pushed. And the kid's like, you know, I don't know if I want to tell my parents right now. I'm kind of afraid. You know, I don't want to disappoint mom, or I don't want to disappoint dad. And I've seen that too. And then I say, you know, you tell me what you want. If you want me to be in a meeting and talk to your parents, and we can work this out together, and you can be the best high school player this city's ever seen, and that's it. You know, you can have all the records and be done.
Right. But in order to get that scholarship, he has to play for that school.
Well, yeah, you'd have to play. You'd have to go down and want to go to college.
Right.
And want to play. And some kids, sometimes it's a fear. They're afraid of failure, or they're afraid that
move away.
Or move away. It's a culture shock. I've had kids go down and play, you know, play baseball down in college down south. They sent one kid to East Texas, and it was a wake-up call. Everyone's carrying guns, and people are going hunting on the weekends. And he's like, what is this?
This isn't Victoria.
He's like, people are chewing tobacco in the middle of class, and wow, what is this?
Toto, I'm not in Kansas anymore. What's going on here?
So it's, you know, it's a wake-up call for some kids. Some kids enjoy it. They like the change, but some can't handle it.
When you're working with a kid, what are the ages that you're working with? Are they kids or?
Oh yeah, I think the youngest we have at Speed Mechanics right now is 11, And then we have all the way up to 26. We just got a kid signed to a professional contract. He
At 26?
Yeah, he blew his arm out in college, and he took a 6-year hiatus, and he was. That's a completely different story.
There's another movie. Wasn't that Kevin Cod or no? That Randy Quaid or whatever his name was. Didn't he come back?
He did, the rookie.
Rookie, yeah.
But
Holy
anyway,
movie day here today.
Exactly. Oh, yeah, I love movies.
I know, right?
But no, this kid, I coached him my first year in Victoria. He's 6'11", so he's a monster of a kid. And helped him get down, play college baseball down south. He'd only been pitching for 2 years before he went down south. Big culture shock. Didn't pitch much. Finally got into his zone, started pitching a little bit, and then blew his arm out.
Tommy John?
No, shoulder surgery.
Oh, boy. I'm going through that myself.
It was like it was like labrum, rotator cuff. I don't remember exactly what it was. But
Infraspinatus, supraspinatus, yeah, the whole bit, probably.
So he just, all right, I'm done, coming home. So came home, went to UVic. UVic said, sorry, man, none of your classes are going to transfer. You got to start from scratch. So his parents spent 3 years of university money down south that it was a waste, really. I mean, it gave him some cool opportunities. He was on Yavapai's junior college team when they won the College World Series and junior college ball, and so he's got a ring from that. But
cool.
He was working at Speed Mechanics and grabbed the ball one day and picked it up, threw a 95-mile-an-hour ball across the field, and I'm
Oops.
like, dude, how come you're not playing? He's like, I'm too old. Like, you're not too old, man. Like, you're too old if you're 30. If you're 30 and you're not throwing 100, good luck. But you're 26 and you're almost 7 feet tall, man. It's like, if you really want to make a run for this, let's make a run. And,
wow.
So he put his nose to the grindstone. He worked his tail off for about 5 months. I made a phone call, and a buddy of mine is a coach in Quebec in independent ball, and said, hey, look, I got a guy. You got to take a chance on him. He doesn't have
take a flyer on this guy.
Yeah, he doesn't have any innings under his belt in the last 6 years, but give him a shot. And he goes, look, I'll bring him to spring training. He's got to earn a spot.
Fair enough.
Said, hey, man, that's all we can ask for. So he went out there. He pitched his butt off. The coach pulled him in and said, hey, look, you had a 1% chance of making this team. And you made it. You pitched your way on.
Come on.
So.
And he's a local kid?
Local kid. And,
wow.
So he playing independent ball. He pitched, I think, he had 7 or 8 outings. Ended up getting released, but the team loved him enough where they said, look, we're going to put you on another team, but we're going to ship you back to Canada because Quebec wasn't allowed to play up north. So I said, look, we're going to ship you back to Canada. You're going to play in Ontario in this, call it semi-pro league.
Okay.
I hate that word, by the way.
Yeah, do you?
But it's
another movie, semi-pro.
Good movie.
It really is a good movie.
But they shipped him out there. He's been pitching out there, getting innings, and they told him, they said, look, man, once you get comfortable and you've got a bunch of innings under your belt, we'd love to have you back. So what an awesome opportunity for him as a 26-year-old kid who had no innings under his belt, didn't pitch great in college, but wanted to have that opportunity.
Wow.
And he made it work. So in my eyes, really, anybody can do it if they want to work hard.
Right.
It's the hard work that scares people.
No kidding, right? So, wow. So in dealing with the younger athletes that you have, so you're working with the parents just as much as you're working with the athlete, the kid, correct?
Correct.
So, are they like wanting update reports? Like, is he major league ready? Is it going to be like, it's Tuesday? Will he be major league by Friday? Like, or does that? You know what I mean? Like, obviously satire, but at the end of the day, they want monies. They want their.
I wouldn't say satire, man. It's not anybody that I've got in the facility right now, but I've ran into parents, having been coaching for quite some time now, that are like, oh yeah, my kid's 11, he's already being scouted by the pros. I'll get emails, my 13-year-old's throwing 92. I'm like, kilometers? Good luck, man. Everyone has that, my kid's the best attitude, and as it should be.
I love it, yeah. Like,
I've got 4 kids, and I try not to be that way, but I mean, they're cute, man. Those are my kids.
No, exactly.
But
now, so I've seen the interference part in other sports. and in particular, where doing too much is a hindrance. Like you're not helping at this point. When I was playing any kind of sports, I was really good at soccer and hockey, whatever. But my report card was if he only applied himself more. That had carried through my whole life to this day as I sit here. So, but you never questioned the coach. I don't remember parents ever going up to the coach or the manager and saying, my kid's not getting played hard, or you did this wrong, or blah, 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 blah. I don't know when that started, actually. I really don't. I have no idea. But, like, can a parent do too much to hinder their kid's chances of getting a scholarship or making it?
100%.
Can you give me an example, or of not to name or out anybody, but of a situation where, because I know one myself where just like every phone call, every this, every that, and I'm sure they just got fed up of listening to her and just went, ooh, Jesus, do we really want this kid? He's average at best. Now we got to, is this what we want?
Well, that's one of the first questions. Well, not, I guess, one of the first questions in the stream of questions that I get from college coaches are, how are the parents? One of the first ones is, how is he as a kid?
Yeah.
How is he as a teammate?
Right.
How is he in school? They don't even care. If I'm talking to a college coach, they already know that they're a decent enough ball player to be at the program.
So he's not looking at stats at all?
No. Once they're talking to me, who cares about stats? I mean, stats can be padded because you've got a mom or a dad doing the stat book, and most of the time they have no clue what a hit versus an error is, or what a wild pitch versus a pass ball is, or really anything. Right. They're just, doing a great job because they're volunteers.
Right.
And then who knows who you're facing? If you're going to a big school where everyone's throwing 90 plus, and you're playing in a league where not one player throws 90 miles an hour, how do I know if you can hit
exactly
a pitch that's thrown that hard? But parents can be bad. I mean, I've talked to coaches and I say, hey, look, great kid, make sure you keep the parents on the sidelines.
You got your hands full here.
It could be bad. We have we have words. We say helicopter parents are the ones that hover too much. They're not terrible, but then there's the snowplows that they'll just run right through you and tell you you're doing a terrible job. But if moms and dads are taking Gatorades to their kids in the middle of a game, or bringing them sandwiches, it just looks bad. If there's a scout there and the kid can't take care of himself,
or eat later.
I mean, why do I want that kid if he can't think on his own or her own and be able to plan ahead?
Right.
I mean, this is going to be your life at some point. Your mom and dad can't take care of you forever. Can you even do laundry? Do you know how to cook? Is your mom and dad doing your homework for you? I mean, at this point, who knows?
Well, that's the thing too, because in other sports, you have like Mitch Marner from I don't even know why I'm a Leaf fan. It's just frustrating as hell. But Mitch Marner and Austin Matthews both stayed with Patrick Marleau, and it wasn't because they're talking hockey. They're talking, you're in a house with my wife and 4 kids, and this is what you have to do to be a pro. And left alone with $11 million in a condo downtown Toronto, you're probably not going to do well. So team up. I'm sure Marleau maybe stayed around a year, to mentor that, and because he really didn't do nothing. But that is a worthy thing. Does baseball have like a similar thing, or is part of your job to do what Marleau did to the young people to get them over? Like, I'm sure baseball has humps, and the humps that you're doing, the 11-year-old is doing this, and then at 14, there's another hump. You're done with that teaching, but at the same time, you're grooming the whole time. Is that accurate?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you can teach skills you should only have to teach skills up to a certain point. How do you throw a baseball properly? If the good coaches are at the younger levels teaching players how to grip a ball, how to throw properly, how to field properly, then as they progress, then we're just teaching them not the skill of the actual hit, throw, catch, but how to take that skill and transform it. So, all right, here's how you start to turn double plays. Once you understand double plays, here's how we put on picks. Here's how we're able to, you know how to run, but how do you read a pitcher? How do you play first base? How can we, do different things to trick the other team? So now it becomes more tactics than technique.
Okay, so let's talk about that. Has baseball changed since? Could Babe Ruth hit home runs today as he did back in 18 or 1920 or 1915 or whatever? Could he Babe Ruth in his prime today, played tonight, could he hit a home run?
My personal belief, yes. We debate on this all the time. Me and a big group of baseball guys on Facebook, and they say, well, guys didn't throw that hard. Like, yeah, but they were allowed to use spitballs and emery boards and all these different things to make the ball move.
That's true, too. I never thought of that.
And then they had a strike zone that was like from their eyeballs to their shins, and they had to swing. Their home run derbies were so much different than what we see now, where they have to swing if it's a strike. 3 strikes and you're out. They had to hit.
So like Ty Cobb and all those greats, they weren't the healthiest of players, right? So smoking and drinking and coming, so the emphasis is on fitness and the strength and the this and the that. Has baseball changed that much in 100 years, 100 and whatever years? Or could a guy that's playing Major League now or at a level, is fitness going to help him in his game, or that natural ability that he had, if you're good enough, they will find you, that's the way it is?
Well, fitness can help anybody.
Right.
It's going to make you stronger. It'll make you faster. But
if you're hitting them out, you don't got to run that fast.
Exactly. But, strength will always help. I think that's a key. But you look at these old-timers, if we go back to old-timers like Mickey Mantle.
Yes.
And then we'll just use him for an example. Obviously, I didn't know Mickey Mantle. I met him a few times in Vegas.
Oh, did you really?
But Vegas was great, man. They would bring Hall of Famers out all the time to do signings. So I would meet all these guys at the casino. That's cool, right? Be in the signing. So
that'd be like us meeting like Gretzky or Mary Lemieux or something like that. Okay, fair enough.
But so anyway, the word was, or the rumors, I guess even the truths, who knows, because I wasn't there, but he worked with his old man at the rock quarry, busting rocks. And what young kid is going to go out, bust their ass in manual labor until they can't move because they're so sore from swinging a sledgehammer for 8 hours, and then go back to do it the next day without complaining to mom and dad that their work conditions suck and that they're getting paid
they yelled at me.
$25 an hour, or they're yelled at me, or whatever it is. So did they work out? No. I think, as far as I know, the first person to really preach weight training in the big leagues was Nolan Ryan, and that was in the 80s.
And that you make a good point, because again, I reference hockey because it's the sport I know the most and I'm familiar with, and all of these guys had jobs. Like, so, if they weren't fighting in the war, which they did too, but they always were slugging out. The farmers out west. I mean, you look at Gordie Howe, just a brute of a man, but he wasn't making enough at the time, or he had to go work on the farm and stuff like that. So that's a brute strength. So is fitness for the lazy? You have to work out instead of sitting around because you're not having a job, or maybe you are, I don't know. But is that one of the reasons we've got off of that, because the pay is so much, you don't need to have a job? But is it something that...
I see those guys in the big leagues that they hire trainers. They have people come wake them up and feed them. They, people that cook for them, and people that, take them to the gym and coddle them and baby them, because you got that much money. If you got that much money, why wouldn't you look like a Greek god and go out there and do it? Because you don't have to worry. Someone's doing it for you. When you're a minor leaguer, you can't afford that.
No.
You're working. And when you're working, you have to decide when are you going to go to the gym? Do you have time for it that day? Do you want to have a life? If you
Well,
have
that's exactly, that's my point. So a minor leaguer working his tail off doesn't have time to go to the gym and do all this stuff, right? Yeah, I'm sure he's eating healthy and stuff, of course, but you know, he has to do what he has to do to survive and pay his rent and stuff like that.
Yeah,
correct.
Well, then you got to try. Well, hopefully, I mean, I think now guys nowadays are all trying to find a way to sneak in the gym when they can.
Yeah.
I know a buddy of mine, Luke Scott, when he was in college, he had I think a 6-year big league career. Could have been a lot longer if he was better at interviews. But he, in college, he went up to a physiotherapist and just said, "Hey, man, look, I got a chance at potentially getting drafted here. Invest in me. I got no money. I'm a nobody. But when I get to the big leagues, I'll take care of you.
I won't forget
You'll
you."
be my guy. And the dude took care of him. He was with him all the way through the minor leagues until they got to the big leagues, and he took care of him. He paid him a 6-figure salary just to train him in the offseason and then fly him out to come work with him. And then got other Major League Baseball players to pay him 6-figure salaries to do the same.
Yeah.
And now the guy is walking around training Major League Baseball players. So sometimes we get creative when we have to. I was lucky.
Yeah.
My agent had a trainer that he provided all of his athletes, but he had to move to California. So I had to get a host family. I lived with a family in California for all the years that I was training and trained from the end of the season while working. Trained in the morning, 6 a.m., went to work, came back, did whatever I needed to make it work, but my days were full.
Right. Okay. I guess I'm just a fan of that underdog who just goes out there and hits dingers. Like, do you see that kid? I love that kid.
Awesome.
My name is, I can't remember. All I do is hit dingers. I want that kid to be my son, right? I really do. So has baseball, like coaching, I guess what I should ask first is, up here in Canada, in Victoria or whatever, do we coach the same way as down south?
No. In that, I mean, I grew up in a pretty rough neighborhood of Las Vegas. Our coach was tough. We'd get punished with no water. It's 120 degrees Fahrenheit, and
You didn't hate him.
No, I mean, hated him at the time.
Of course,
obviously.
yeah.
You know.
But there wasn't like this. I'm getting bullied here. Now I don't recommend not giving kids water. Let's not even go there with that. This day and age, holy shit. This might not even air. But we'll talk about that after. But it has the sports in general gotten softer. But is the way you grew up and being coached? Did you resent him?
I did for a while.
Okay.
It was one of those things where I'm
Okay.
like, man, you pushed me all the time. You never told me how good I was. You always told me how terrible I was. And
But do you think that was pushing you?
definitely, I mean, it was in his own right. He made us who we were. We
Right.
didn't have a quit button. We were a bunch of kids that,
Bad News Bears.
well, yeah, we weren't the team. Just a movie day.
Oh, that really is.
But, we weren't the team that had the most talented kids. Nobody on our team, I don't think, was paying for private lessons. No one could afford on extra teams. So he was the guy that would push us. We'd have 2-a-day practices. Show up at 6 a.m. You're going to run your face off until you puke, and then you're going to get an hour break for lunch, and you're going to come back, we're going to do it again.
Yeah.
And, it taught us to not quit. It taught us to push. Do I believe in it myself? I've never done that to a kid.
No, and there's a fine line. I don't. Again, I'm not condoning this. I'm just merely saying, when I was young, there's no way you could coach. Those coaches could coach today, and I think you're seeing it more and more. Certainly in hockey, where the day of having Torts yell in your face. He's effective. He's a good coach, but those are men too, right? I would never recommend that the coaches that I had coached the way that it is today. But it was a different society then, right? But I'm not sure when that we got away from that, I'm happy that's not being done today. And certainly, if you're talking about a kid in our day, I'm 55. Like you got spanked at school. You got the strap, right? Can you imagine today? Hey Billy, what's wrong with your hand? Oh, the principal hit me. Oh Jesus. Okay, bye principal. So it obviously it's changed and for the better. But where is that fine line of coaching and giving instruction firm? How do you separate that?
It's tough, but for me, it's when the kids hit the ball field, I want them to have fun.
That is actually a great. Sports is fun. Sports is supposed to be fun. If you're not having fun, and I think that's one of the things is that when I was a kid, I was having fun. Yes, it was tough being coached, but it was fun. It's nothing else I wanted to do. So is sports still fun?
Should be.
Okay, so you coach the kids to have fun. That's your very first message.
Oh, yeah.
Where does it come into the actual coaching discipline, learning, guidance, getting over to those humps?
The guidance piece is going to happen anyway. If you make a mistake, I don't care. Baseball is the only game that tracks your mistakes. How many errors did you have this year? What other sport says how many mistakes did you make? They say you did, you're 70% from the free throw line, not you were 30% misses.
Yeah.
Baseball, we track errors. You're going to make mistakes. So
right.
I don't care if you make that mistake. If you make a mental or physical mistake, we can work on it in practice. That's how we come back.
Good for you.
Where I get upset, or where I got upset as a coach, is when you disrespect your teammates, you disrespect the umpires, you disrespect the other team.
Embarrass.
That's when
show up late.
That's when you're going to get punished, in my mind.
Okay.
And the punishment was understood. I would just say, boys, you know this is going to happen. I warned you. You can't get away with this. This isn't how we act. I taught you from the beginning. We respect everybody. We play hard. We don't rub it in people's faces. We give 100%
wow.
every day. And if you don't, well, we'll have a longer, harder conditioning day.
Okay.
Maybe.
So I guess that's the fine line then, is that you can still be, you can still have rules and boundaries, but things just will not be accepted and these are these rules. That's the way it is. So I guess that is the fine line, right?
That was the fine line for me. I mean, other coaches might see it differently. I try to take the professional mindset of, when I got to pro ball, I was so used to calling everybody coach. In pro ball, if you call somebody coach, everyone makes fun of you.
What?
Yeah, you call everybody by their first name, their last name, or a nickname. And it was more so, I think, the coaches didn't want to be put on a pedestal. They didn't want to be seen as being better than anyone else.
So Skip?
You were Skip, you were, Whitey.
Whatever,
Schultzy,
yeah. You put a Y, same as hockey.
And, but it was, it was one of those things where I respected that, because you respected your coach. Baseball is the only game where the manager wears the same uniform as the player, because they're equal.
Really is, isn't it?
So if you're going to be equal, I want you to treat me as an equal, but I also want you to respect me as your manager. So call me Pluta, call me Anthony, call me whatever you want. And it's okay if you come into my office and you want to have words with me. I think you suck. This is terrible, man. How come I haven't played?
Tommy Lasorda had to be one of the better ones for that. Like, he was a player's coach or manager, but it was his way. No doubt about that, right? Tommy Lasorda.
Guys loved him.
Yeah, they ate him up, didn't they? They just, who was that other guy, too, that went out for a brawl? The big, bald, fat guy that, who was that? Remember, he got rocked and he fell down.
Is that the guy that Pedro Martinez threw to the ground?
Yeah, who was that?
Oh, I don't know.
I can't remember, but that's got to be up there. When you see some of these major leaguers, Bobby Bonilla and guys like, that's just making a mockery of the game, no? Because he's still getting paid till 2040, or I don't even know, 2030 something. Anyways,
guys did that all the time, though. I remember.
Seriously?
They stopped it now, but guys would defer money so that they could be under the salary cap. So Bagwell did it, Biggio did it. It was part of the things of like, we're just going to defer money and push it out further and further so that we only get paid $5 million this year instead of our 13, and you're just going to pay me over the next, the next $8 million over the next little bit of time.
Yeah, but I guess, sure. And I'm in hockey, it happens that way too. But the contract, like, what was that? The guy from Baltimore, Davis or something? Like, what was he didn't pan out?
No.
So where does that money go? Like, how,
It goes in his pocket.
So are you a big fan of the player getting as much as he can and make your cash? I hope you get hundreds of millions.
I am. I mean, I never had that opportunity. I never made the hundreds of millions, but I mean, it's a business for them. They're going to screw you quicker than you can screw them.
Is that where it is now?
Oh man. And
is that part of teaching? Like, do you have to say, be prepared? Like, it's one thing for you to have the skills. You might make it. You've got every opportunity, but you have no idea what the lion's den you're about to go in.
Oh, nobody listens. I've had those talks with kids about to go to Pro Bowl, and
they just see the money.
Well, they see the opportunity. They see this golden ticket of, man, I just got drafted, and I remember the feeling. I lived it. I remember the feeling of now I'm a major leaguer. Well, you're not. You're so far from it. And there's so much in front of you and so many amazing ball players that are going to embarrass you. And they are going to eat you alive. You're from a small town in Canada. You're going to go down there and you think you're going to be a big dog, or you go down there and you think you're going to be able to continue doing what you're doing. Good luck.
Really, eh?
And yeah, it's 100% a business. You're a baseball card. You can be traded. You could be let go. It doesn't matter.
Right.
Your feelings don't matter. And mom and dad aren't going to call and say, hey, Houston, why did you release my son?
Yeah, right.
Good luck with that one.
Yeah, no kidding.
I mean,
right.
You're going to get released. You're going to get benched. You're going to pitch like crap, and you're going to
get sent down.
Whatever it might be.
Right.
You got to deal with it.
So what is the average contract look for a player in the first year of, sorry about that. What's the, that'll get edited out. What's that look like, the first year of a major leaguer's contract? Is it, he can't go skydiving. He can't do this. Like he's pretty much owned. He has.
Well, even minor leaguers are in that one.
Oh, really?
No motorcycles, no skateboards, no surfing, nothing that can get you hurt. Or else, if you get hurt doing that, they're not going to want you back. That's why you hear these stupid injuries, like so and so.
Snowmobiling or something. Remember that one? He was.
You hear the ones about guys like slipping off their car when they're washing it and hurt their arm. You're like, really? There's no way you were washing your own vehicle, man. Like,
right.
But they have to come up with something, because if you're doing something you're not supposed to, they're not going to, your contract's null and void. So,
right.
Yeah, in the minors we had that. I mean, big leaguers are getting way more money. My first year of Pro Ball, I made $860 a month before taxes.
How much?
$860 a month before taxes.
Jesus. What did you eat, craft dinner?
Well, I was lucky. I was a high draft pick, so I got to eat okay for my first couple of years when I thought that I was going to get to the big leagues quick, and then after that, and I had no more signing bonus. Then it was craft dinner.
Right.
Top ramen and peanut butter and jelly, man. That's if you talk to any minor league baseball player, that's what some of them still love them, but I kind of despise it. I ate peanut butter and jelly every day of my life as a minor league.
So there's no clubhouse buffet or nothing like.
Clubhouse buffet is like fruit flies on top of old fruit and veggies and leftover ballpark food.
Wow.
Sometimes you get treated right. You get to a ballpark that does good things. Or
So what happens when a major leaguer comes down and drops for conditioning? Like, is he expected? He's taking the boys out for steak and lobster and some beers, or?
I mean, even if it's pizza, we appreciate that. But Yeah, I think it's
Do the boys take care of the guys though?
always.
Yeah.
Always.
Okay.
Sometimes, they'll take care of you. Sometimes they like to prank you.
Yeah.
But most of the time, they're pretty good about just they were in that position years before,
Right.
and they know what it's all about.
So if a big name goes down to AA or whatever to condition, he's not riding that bus, is he?
Oh yeah,
Come on.
why not?
Bullshit. No shit.
think it depends.
Yeah, I'm taking this bus to Iowa. Yeah, right. Like he's on a plane. He's like, I'll see you there.
Well, I think it depends on the big leaguer.
Right. Okay.
I don't think a Bonds would take the bus.
Right. No kidding, right?
But-
And there's no way he's sleeping in that shitty motel either. He's at the Ritz.
Yeah, probably. I wouldn't know. I was never one of those guys.
No.
But I could assume that we had guys come down in even in spring training or in the minors, and they would do that. They would take us out, but you never hung out with those guys. They were you put them up on this huge pedestal.
Right.
You hung out with them in the dugout. You wanted to pick their brain as much as you could in the clubhouse. But once you left, unless they offered to spend time with you, it was
Left alone.
in my mind, you leave those guys alone.
Right,
They're doing
right.
their own thing.
They're looking to get back into the
Yeah.
bigs and stuff.
They
Right.
don't want to hang out with some lowly minor leaguers where they're
No.
down here. And if they do, great.
But I bet you at the same time though, it's like when you do make it up, and that guy you spent a month with conditioning, I'm sure he's like, it's easier to walk into that dressing room or that locker room. It's going, how you doing, Bobby? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, remember me? We're buddies, right? So, no? Like, you don't think?
Well, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, that's still, that's you're going into their house. They came to your house in the minors. You're going into theirs.
Fair enough.
You're still, if you walk in there like you're an arrogant kid that you just got.
Oh,
you're
yeah,
not gonna
no.
last long.
Yeah, no. And that's in any sport. If you're a rookie, you know your place.
Yeah.
But that's just the way it is.
Keep your head down.
And
keep your
shut
mouth
up
shut.
and listen. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I guess what I finish up with is I have this question about once a kid gets to a certain level and you are preparing him to go to either a scholarship, do those kids have agents by then?
Oh yeah, there's kids now that are getting agents in grade 9 to get them college scholarship. I didn't even think that was a thing.
No, nor I. Yeah.
I met, I talked to a kid actually a few months ago that had hired someone to help them get exposure to school, and it ended up as a grade 10, he committed to a Division I program verbally, which doesn't happen very often.
So, do you ever be in a situation where, 'cause, I don't know any agents, but I imagine they would tell the parents what they want to hear. For one, do you ever know? Like, they want the payday, the agent, right? He has a mandate.
Well, I mean, agents are only getting 5%. So, if you're not a first round draft pick,
It's more than you're getting.
true. Unless it's you take a kid that's drafted in the last round. What's your payday on that kid? Your payday's in the long term. You want a relationship with
Right.
that kid that gets to the big leagues, because once that $100 million contract comes at 5%,
Yeah.
now it's a payday.
Right.
Now you're set. So, I think if you find the right agent, they're not going to tell you what you want to hear. They're going to tell you what you need to hear, and then you either choose to be with that person or you don't.
So,
Agents are ruthless.
and that's my point. Is like you spend it for, you've got an 11-year-old, like you were saying, and you coach them and train them and develop them up until the day they get drafted, and all of a sudden you get an agent and telling them all different shit. So, that's got to be frustrating. But does your job? It just seems to me that part of you wear many hats. So because those are the years of development that you either get it in those years or you don't, right? So you're going to absorb that. So, like, I guess what I'm getting at is, like, when you play summer ball and stuff and you're in Div 1 and you're playing, I know for a fact there's coaches at that level going, don't listen to your summer coach. Just don't. Just go there, have fun, do whatever, but just don't. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I mean, You got to think, if I'm a Division I coach or I'm a professional coach, do I want you working with somebody else? I brought you to my program to make you better. I'm not going to trust somebody else to work with you. That's why when major league hitters hire hitting coaches or hire a pitching coach, they got to keep it quiet sometimes from the organization.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And they don't tell the organization because the organization will probably not like it. But
Okay.
sometimes guys will go and get their own outside help, but you would hope that the best colleges or the best Major League Baseball teams in the world are going to have some of the best coaches.
Right.
So why would you, go someplace else to listen to someone else?
Do we have that here in Victoria?
Do we have what?
Good coaches.
We do. There's
Okay.
There's some good coaches here, but I think we need to do a much better job of getting along. Everyone, there's
Oh, is it really competitive? Like,
I don't know if it's competitive more so than it's
I know more than you.
no.
I'm right.
It's more, these are my kids. I don't want you to touch them, or I don't want you to, to talk to them. And this is how I make my money. And it's like, well, look, we've got a huge knowledge base of kids, or a huge knowledge base of coaches here. But we don't use it as a whole. And everyone wants to say that they're the best. Well, I'm the best at this.
Yeah.
I'm the best at that. And it's like, come on. You can't be good at everything. You can't. I don't care who you are.
Yeah, exactly.
You're going to have something you're really good at and things that you're pretty good at and things that you could work on, and you could work on all of it. But we definitely need to do a better job here as a baseball community of working together.
Okay. Do you find that because you're not from here, because you didn't play your ball here, you didn't go to school here, do you find that as an obstacle to people that were born, raised, and have been in this?
100%.
Really? So how do you deal with that? What do you just ignore them, or just try to work with? What do you do there?
Well, it affected me early on. I came in and I'm like, look, I got 13 years of professional baseball. How come nobody wants to listen to me when I talk about baseball? I'm like, they're listening to people with no baseball experience, or maybe a little bit. And you don't have to have played professional baseball to know what you're talking about. A good coach is a good coach regardless.
Yeah.
But no one's given me a shot. So for me, it was volunteer my time at local associations, get people to know who I am, then get in with the provincial association. And now I'm at a point where I coach with the women's national baseball team.
Yeah, how did that go?
Baseball Canada. It's great. I just got back from
Quebec?
Three Rivers. I don't know how to say it in French.
Trois-Rivières. Yeah.
Screw that one up.
Elabou.
But no, that's awesome. I love it. And coaching girls is so much better than coaching boys.
Is it really?
Man, they just soak up the knowledge.
Yeah.
We were there. There was 41 girls in camp. And I said, look, we got to rain out. And I said, look, if anybody's interested, I'll go down into the training room and I'll show anybody that shows up arm care routine. Not mandatory, just show up. We had 30-plus girls show up out of 41. If I would have done that with 41 baseball players, I'd be lucky to
11.
get 5.
Or 5, yeah, really.
And the majority of the girls came. And I was blown away. I'm like, this is amazing. And they asked good questions. And, the youngest girl we had was 14.
Wow.
And the oldest, I'm not sure, in their mid-30s, I think. So,
will you ever see a woman in Major League Baseball, do you think?
In my lifetime, I would love to see it, but I don't know what probably as a pitcher, if I were to guess, if we would have a chance.
Catcher?
Maybe. I know I've seen our catchers, and they're phenomenal.
That's what I mean, yeah.
They're amazing. When it comes to being able to hit,
yeah,
hitting with a wood bat and having the same amount of power, not going to happen.
No. Okay.
But can they receive just as well? Oh, yeah. I've seen girls that can catch a 95, 96, 100-mile-an-hour fastball, no problem. So from a strictly receiving standpoint and calling a game, 100%. But a team would have to take a shot on them knowing that they'd be a bottom-of-the-order hitter.
Okay.
But
right.
It's possible.
Are we good here in Victoria? Is it looking good? Are we on solid ground? Is there... Or, are we taking a back seat, or are we still competitive when we go to the South? Because that really is where that's the litmus test, right? Like that is, you can be great here, but that's great. You're great.
BC is doing a great job.
Are we doing are we on in your opinion we're right where we should be?
BC in general is on the upswing right now, and
For talent.
and also for coaching and doing things from a provincial standpoint and moving in the right direction. They just started a high performance kind of pathway. We always had one in baseball BC, but we added a high performance coordinator and 2 technical directors, me and another person in Vancouver, Cav Whiteley. And we have this committee now where we're trying to up the game of high performance baseball in the province. And what does that look like? How do we get kids more competitive? How do we move forward with that? And we're going to be having, what they call it, some tournament series with Alberta, bringing teams from Alberta. It's like a friendship series.
Okay, yeah.
We'll go play their province, they play us, but let's just keep our provincial teams moving. Because the way our provincial teams work now is we have ID camps throughout all over the province in various places. We pick the best players from those ID camps to go to Vancouver to do a massive tryout in front of everyone. And there's about 50 kids that go to that tryout, and then we pick the team from there.
And when you say we, the committee is based on who?
So the way it was in the past, there would be the coaches that were named to the Canada Cup team, so the 17U provincial team that's going to compete for a national championship. And those would be the coaches that would pick, but they would also have assistance of the UBC coaches. They would
okay. I was wondering about that.
Local, other local coaches that.
So
would
U Sports.
Get into it. Yeah, U Sports.
Okay.
But also the youth sports as well. That coaches that want to be a Canada Cup coach or want to be a high performance coach, they come out and they see how we do things, and they help support us in, hey, we saw that kid do something, we really liked it, take it into consideration when you pick your team.
So it's not just a Victoria thing, because there's a lot, the baseball up and down this island is incredible.
It's unbelievable.
It really is, right?
I remember I brought a team, this was like 6 or 7 years ago, I brought a team down and we toured around in California. I took the boys to Cal State Fullerton, they met the head coach there. And went to UC Irvine. They met the head coach there. Wow. We got tours of the stadiums, things like that. It was really cool. And remember the Fullerton coach was like, love Canadian players.
Yeah.
He was like, how many of you bat left-handed? And I don't know, like half the team raised their hand.
He thinks the country's all left-handed people?
He's like, hockey players. You all play hockey, right? And they're like, yeah, we play hockey. He's like, see, that's why you bat lefty. And
we throw left, too.
Yeah, right. But, I think part of it is in the U.S. I've seen kids start travel ball as early as like 7, 8 years old, and they're like leadoffs and proper baseball, and they don't stop, and you get burnt out, and you're not playing other sports, you're not athletic.
Yeah.
And here it's encouraged, and I love it. Play hockey, play basketball, play volleyball. It
is the best to have multiple sports. It really is.
You have to.
It really is. It's just different hand-eye. There's different. It's just. I encourage any kid. That's why I'm just not into the academy. Like, just playing. You're on this ice for 12, 14. Oh, police! Like, no. Go out and kick the soccer. Go play with your buddies. Have fun. Go do something, right? So when you see. Baseball in British Columbia and versus any other province, you would think that Alberta, Ontario, do you think they're powerhouses or
Ontario 100%. They're a huge province with a lot of kids.
A lot.
And they've got so many kids that play baseball. The majority of the national or junior national team is made up of players from Ontario. But if you look at who has competed at the Canada Cup and done well in the last 6 years, let's say, Alberta, Ontario, BC, Saskatchewan, and Quebec. Those would, in my mind, be the top 5 provinces And then Nova Scotia competes sometimes. It depends. It's ebbs and flows in the smaller provinces.
Right.
When they have a good team versus bad team. Newfoundland.
You know what I noticed about Newfoundland, though, is they might not have a ton of players, but that player that comes out of that, whatever sport, he or she is brilliant. It's up, like, they are, like, extremely good. Like, the athletes in Newfoundland they can play any sport at any time. It's really incredible how talented they are. What else is there to do?
Water over there, eh?
I guess same salt as we got it, isn't it? I don't know. So, like, just to close up, we're coming up to an hour. Could have talked for longer, but we're good for baseball here. That's you see bright things. You see any players that you're kind of mentoring now or teaching that has a shot. Do you want to throw? Is there a kid right now that if he keeps going or she we can go? This kid's going to make it to the MLB.
There's a few. I see.
Oh, wow.
I see a lot of potential. We just had a kid drafted out of here this last draft, Dom Hambley.
Yeah.
He's a great kid and good talent.
You worked with him?
At 12, I brought him to our team practice. I'm like, look, man, you're too good to be playing with your buddies. Come practice with my premier team and just hang around the boys. So he hung around the premier team for 3 years before he got into the high performance stream, and that was right as I was leaving as manager. He was coming in to play premier baseball, and but yeah, I worked with him for a long time, and he's a uber talent, and we've got some youngsters coming up that are unbelievable that I'm excited to see if they continue to progress. I mean, like I said, we had a grade 10. His name's Sam Shaw, committed at Xavier University to play baseball at a division as a grade 10. So you know, there's kids that have phenomenal talent and are very athletic and gifted, and some come into their own later, some blossom earlier, but every year that I've been here, I'm pretty sure we've had one kid drafted. Out of the last 5-6 years, maybe 5 out of 6 years, we've had a kid drafted.
Can't say that in any other sport in this town, I don't think.
But it's, you know, we're doing a very good job in baseball.
Wow.
Could it be better? 100% it could be better.
And by better, you're saying, like, the teams that are here now, are they working with the same mindset, same goal? Are we all working together? Or is it something that needs to be a little bit...
I would love to say it would be awesome to get everybody together and in kind of at a round table discussion, but it's not going to happen.
Too many egos?
Way too many. And
Yeah.
there's some that would be open for it and doing it, but some that'll just say, no, my way's better.
Yeah, I'm the smartest in the room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's if we could take the talent that's here from a coaching staff perspective, and I'm sure it would be the same in BC, and everybody would, let's just say, do one camp a year and brought everyone in and did it somewhere where each person had their specialty and we all just kind of worked. I think, man,
Happy days.
Those kids would get so much amazing information.
Wow.
But it's, you know, it's tough. It's tough here, especially when you have a business and you want to try
And that's the other part. Yeah, money does come into play.
You know, it's like, hey, how do we make it work, though?
Right.
I mean,
Is there grants for kids? Is there subsidies? Is there something parents don't know about that's out there that can be done?
Hopefully parents would be able to find these things on the internet.
Of course, yeah.
I know Kids Sport is one. There's
the Canadian Tire, whatever. I think they do something.
You know, there's things that they can find money and ways to help with their kids to do those types of things. And Baseball BC offers, 2 years ago, we did one at RAP, and it was put on by Major League Baseball. I'm pretty sure it was free. And
okay, I do remember something about it.
I'm pretty sure it was sponsored by Major League Baseball. If it wasn't free, it was extremely cheap.
Yeah.
And we had stations. It was beautiful. There was like 60, 70 kids out there. It was
wicked.
amazing.
That's wicked.
What
about Viasport or Viasport or something?
Viasport does a great job.
Yeah, okay. They work closely with you guys, or not you guys, but like with Baseball BC and stuff. And
I believe so.
Yeah, cool.
I'm not directly a part of the provincial body.
Right.
What I do is I'm in charge of educating the coaches and
Okay.
leading the coach education piece.
Awesome.
But when it comes to finding grants and
Right.
planning things, that's above my pay grade.
So how do people get a hold of you if they think their kid this is something that their kid could benefit from? How would they get a hold of you?
Oh, they could check out speedmechanics.ca if they want to come in.
Okay.
We give a free trial for anybody that pops in. If you want
Okay.
to show up and you want to hit or throw and have me get eyes on you, if you want to try lifting in the gym,
Wicked.
try lifting.
And
But
where are you located?
we're off of Vanalman. We're
Okay, in Saanich.
right off of Saanich.
Okay.
We're right off of Vanalman in Saanich.
Nice.
Across the street from the army place there.
Yeah. I don't know what it's called either. But let that out too. Anthony, an absolute pleasure. Speed Mechanics, folks, check it out. I was with Anothony Pluta. Great talking with you, mate. I hope to have you back, and maybe I can come check out your facility and do a little story on. Give me a call, keep in touch, and we'll definitely hook up and do this again. There's lots more I want to ask. So
Lots more to talk about for
perfect.
sure.
Absolutely. Okay.
Thanks, man.
Anthony, thanks a lot. Well, that's another edition of Raw Sportscast with me, Scott Harrigan, and I want to thank our guest again today, Anothony Pluta from Speed Mechanics. Have a good night, folks.